Okay, thank you. I think we got about 30 seconds to go here, so in case we have any really late comers. Okay, why don't we get started, call the meeting to order, and clerk, if you would, please take the roll.
Mr. Stovall,
Here.
Dr. Moeller,
Here.
Mr. Weber.
Here.
Through the chair, we have quorum.
Okay, thank you. Hopefully everybody's had a chance to take a look at the consent calendar, and not hearing anyone asking to take anything off. So do we have a motion on the consent calendar? Motion. Okay. Motion by Mr. Weber.
I'll second it.
Second by Dr. Mueller. The clerk would take the roll, please.
Mr. Stovall,
Yes. Dr.
Dr. Moeller,
Yes.
Mr. Weber.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. We'll now go to the public hearing portion of our agenda. And will all those who will be testifying, please raise your right hand. You do solemnly swear or affirm under penalty of perjury under the laws of the state of California that the testimony you shall give in the matters before this board shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? I do. Okay. Record should reflect all responded affirmatively. So let's go then to S2410S, short variance for Kern River Cogeneration Facility.
That has been withdrawn.
Okay, well, that makes it simple. Thank you. Let's go then to S2411S, a short variance for the Sycamore Cogeneration Company. I could state your name and spell it for the record, please. Chris Rickard. That's right. Sorry.
Chris Rickard. KRIS, RICK, ARDS.
Thank you, Chris. And I think we've got another Chris Flashing up there.
Yes, that's correct. I'll be the one handling this.
Okay, great. We got the wider view now. So well, if it's okay with you, Mr. Rickards, I will consider your application to be your initial testimony, and we'll go then to Chris up in Fresno for the staff's report.
All right, good morning, everybody. I'm Chris Kalashin. I'm an air quality specialist here at the Air District, and before you this morning is Sycamore Cogeneration Company, and they operate 4 75 megawatt combustion turbine cogeneration units. District rules and Sycamore's permit conditions require them to certify, maintain, operate, and quality assure a SEMS. Sycamore has determined that the existing SEMS is approaching the end of its life, and that hardware consisting of analyzers and sample lines will need to be upgraded to ensure proper operation of the SEMS in the future. Once the new analyzers and sample lines are installed and calibrated, the SEMS will begin collecting data. However, the data will not be valid until the system successfully completes a testing and certification process, which includes a 7-day drift test and a relative accuracy test audit. Sycamore must continue to operate the facility in order to complete this testing. Requiring Sycamore to remain in compliance would effectively shut down the facility, since the unit could not complete the necessary testing to certify the SEMS. Sycamore has requested a short variance from the applicable requirements of district rules, in addition to the applicable conditions of their subject permits. The requested short variance will be from April 11th, 2024 to July 9, 2024 inclusive. If granted, the variance will allow Sycamore to operate without a certified SEMS while the new analyzers and sample lines are installed and the SEMS is certified. The existing emissions control equipment will be functional and operating during this variance period. No excess emissions are expected. The district believes required findings as set forth in the California Health and Safety Code can be made and recommends that Sycamore be granted a short variance with the conditions on pages 3 and 4. And this concludes the district's presentation.
Okay, thank you, Chris. We'll go to the other Chris. Chris, do you have anything you'd like to add to that?
No, appreciate the summary, Chris. Nothing to add. Thank you.
Okay. Any questions for either Chris or Chris?
No.
It says April. Oh, I'm sorry.
Oh, go ahead, Chris.
I just turned off. Okay, can you hear me now?
Yeah.
The variance says from April 10th to the 9th. Should that be changed to?
This was the one where we didn't have a quorum, so we had to move it
Okay,
to May.
so it would still,
It's fine to leave it.
it's fine?
Yes.
Okay.
And just to confirm, Chris here, because Mr. Rickards, if the facility weren't have to shut down, that would be many people out of work and,
Yeah, and we have contractual obligations to sell electricity to the grid at the facility as well.
okay.
Mhm.
Okay, do we have any public comment? Hearing no public comment, do we have a motion?
It's been a while. You'll make the motion?
One second.
Okay, I'm sorry.
Do we have? There's no public comment here in Fresno and seeing none online.
All right, sorry. Forgot to ask President.
Okay. All right, I move to approve Sycamore Cogeneration Company's petition for a short variance set forth in docket number S-24-11S with the required 6 findings of the Health and Safety Code adopted by reference as set forth in the staff report. The variance shall be effective from April 10th, 2024 to July 9th, 2024 inclusive, or until the new analyzer sample lines are installed and the SEMS is certified, whichever occurs first, and shall be subject to conditions on pages 3 to 4 of the staff report.
Okay, thank you, Corey. Do we have a second?
I second it.
Okay, second by Dr. Miller. The clerk would take the roll, please.
Mr. Stovall?
Yes.
Dr. Moeller?
Yes.
Mr. Weber?
Yes.
Motion passes.
Okay, thank you. Next up, we have, let's see, Era Energy LLC, that's S-2412S, short variance. And again, if you'd state your name for the record and spell it.
Sam Parks, S-A-M-P-A-R-K-S.
Pretty easy.
Pretty easy.
Mine won't be. Sean Holdsworth, SHAWNHOLDWORTH.
Okay. And I think, Will, this is yours. We will, again, we'll take your application as your initial testimony, if that's okay. And turn to Will for the staff's report.
Yeah, good morning. My name is Will Kuhn, and I'm an air quality specialist here at the district. And before us today is Era Energy LLC. And Era operates equipment in the production of light crude oil within the Bell Ridge oil field in Kern County. Water and gases are also produced with the crude oil. Under normal operations, the collected gases are compressed and piped to the Section 32 SOx plant for processing, where the sulfur and remaining liquids are removed. The gas is then sent to the field where its primary use is to fuel steam generators. ERA will need to bypass the SOX process at the Section 32 gas plant in order to perform cleaning and maintenance. As a result, untreated gas containing high concentrations of H2S or hydrogen sulfide will be sent to steam generators that normally receive treated gas. This will cause the steam generators to operate out of compliance since untreated gas with a higher concentration of H2S will produce excess SOx emissions during combustion. ERA is seeking a short variance to allow the steam generators to exceed their emission limits while the SOX process at Section 32 gas plant is bypassed in order to perform cleaning and other necessary maintenance. ERA is requesting a 48 non-consecutive hours sometime between April 11th, 2024 and June 11th, 2024 inclusive to complete the scheduled work. ERA has calculated that in a worst case scenario, the excess emissions for a full 48-hour period will be 753 pounds of excess SOx. ERA will ensure that work crews are adequately staffed and all necessary materials are readily available to minimize the time the plant is shut down. Should the excess emissions exceed 2,000 pounds, ERA will be subject to mitigation fees in addition to excess emissions fees. ERA could shut down the gas flow, but it will also stop 720 barrels per day of oil production, which would result in a loss of approximately $55,000 per day at a price of $76 per barrel. It would be taking a property if ERA were not allowed to manage their equipment in a way that assures long-term compliance. The district believes the required findings as set forth in the California Health and Safety Code can be made and recommends that ERA be granted a short variance with the conditions on pages 4 and 5. And this concludes the district's presentation.
Okay, thank you, Will. Any questions for Will? If not, Sam, would Sarah have anything would like to add to that?
Nope,
Okay.
it's good. The petition was well drafted.
Oh, thank you. Any questions for Eric? Not hearing any. Do we have any public comments? Not seeing any here in Bakersfield. How about Fresno?
No public comments in Fresno and seeing none online.
Okay, great. So with that, we'll close the hearing portion of or the testimony portion of the hearing. See if we have a motion.
I'll motion. Okay. All right, I move to approve ERA Energy LLC's petition for a short variance set forth in docket number S-24-12S with the required 6 findings of the Health and Safety Code adopted for reference is set forth in the staff report. The variance shall be effected for the period of 48-hour period to occur sometime between April 11th, 2024 and June 11th, 2024 inclusive, or until all necessary cleaning and maintenance work is completed on the Sulfix SOX plant, and the plant is returned to normal operation, whichever occurs first, and is set forth the conditions on pages 4 and 5 of the staff report.
Okay, we have a motion by Mr. Weber. Do we have a second?
Oh, I'm sorry, I second it.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Miller. With that, then we'll ask the clerk would take the roll, please.
Mr. Stovall,
Yes.
Dr. Moeller,
Yes.
Mr. Weber.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Great. So the variance is granted. Thank you.
Thank you. Good.
Let's turn then to Chevron Cogeneration Company, S2414R. Handling bunch today, huh?
I get my form.
Okay, I don't think you have to spell your name this time, but you might identify yourself.
Chris Rickard?
Okay, thank you, Chris. And this is another one where we have Chris and Fresno handling it. Mr. Rickards, will go ahead and consider your application as your initial testimony, if that's okay. And go then to Chris Kalashin up in Fresno. Chris?
Yes. All right, good morning, everybody. I'm Chris Kalashin, Air Quality Specialist with the Air District. Before you this morning is the Chevron Cogeneration Company. And they operate a 40.9 MMBTU per hour gas turbine as part of a cogeneration system, which is referred to as Cogen 31X. And it generates electricity and steam at their McKittrick lease within the Simrick oil field. In July of 2022, Project S-1223405, which was for an experimental research exemption for the hydrogen fuel blending project for use at Cogen 31X, was approved by the district. The experimental exemption approved the temporary installation of a SoloNOx emissions package to comply with existing permit limits, in addition to hydrogen storage, compression, heat exchanger, and hydrogen and natural gas blending skid at an estimated construction and operational cost of $18 million. It is anticipated that Chevron will temporarily exceed NOx and CO emissions during their initial tuning of this experimental unit, and will possibly exceed the startup and shutdown timeframes while attempting to tune the unit to run on natural gas and hydrogen blends. Chevron is installing equipment and conducting experimental testing in hopes that it will lead to a transition to a cleaner energy use in the future. During the experimental testing, Chevron is anticipating that NOx and CO emissions will be exceeded, and that requiring compliance would not let Chevron conduct the experimental testing, which could jeopardize the project. Chevron has requested a regular variance from the applicable requirements of district rules, in addition to the applicable conditions of their subject permits. The requested variance would be for a 768 non-consecutive hour period that would occur sometime between April 30, 2024 and April 1, 2025 inclusive. If granted, the variance will allow Chevron to operate with excess NOx and CO emissions while the experimental testing is conducted. I wanted to make everybody aware that there was a last-minute change, and it's going to impact pages 2, 3, and 5 of the staff report. As I stated, it's going to go from April 30, 2024 to April 1, 2025. However, in your packet that you received on page 2, it says that it's going to go to July 28, 2024. So that's been changed. So in the petitioner's request portion on page 2, that will be impacted. On page 3 in the recommendations on condition 1, it will now read April 30, 2024 to April 1, 2025. And then because of that change, on page 5, condition 11 will be changed from August 12, 2024 to April 16, 2025. Chevron has calculated that excess emissions associated with this variance are estimated to be 2,100 pounds of NOx and 61,000 pounds of CO over the duration of the variance period. The district believes required findings as set forth in the California Health and Safety Code can be made, and recommends that Chevron be granted a regular variance with the conditions on pages 3, 4, and 5, in addition to the changes on pages 2, 3, and 5. And this concludes the district's presentation.
Okay, thank you, Chris. Any questions for Chris?
Under recommendations, bullet point 1, it was April 16th, 2025, right?
I'm sorry, say that again?
Under the recommendations 1 on page 2, or page 3, sorry. It was,
No. So
it was April
it's
16th, right?
No, no, it's April 1st, it's April 1, 2025 on page 3. It's going to say April 30, 2024 to April 1, 2025. And then on page 5, condition 11, it will say April 16,
Okay.
2025.
Okay. Just to clarify, Chris, so even though the date, that period has been extended. The 768 hours is the same. Is that correct?
That's correct. It's non-consecutive hours, yes.
And just to get a little feel for this, of that 768 potential hours of being over the limit, if this experiment is successful, that will be continuing hours in the future, where there will be significantly, or at least measurable, less pollution if the experiment is successful and they have more efficient systems.
That's the hope. I mean, that's the goal of this project, yes.
That's the goal, right? Okay. Let's turn then to the petitioner, Chris Rickards. Anything you'd like to add?
No, and appreciate the last minute change on that one. Nothing, no additional comments.
Okay. Any questions for Mr. Rickards? Okay, not seeing any. Do we have any public comments? Not seeing anything here in Bakersfield. Do you have anything in Fresno?
No public comments in Fresno, seeing none online.
Okay, great. Well, with that, we'll close the testimony portion of the hearing and see if we have a motion.
I'll make a motion.
Okay, Courtney.
So I move to approve Chevron Cogeneration Company's petition for a regular variance set forth in docket number S-24-14R with the required 6 findings of the Health and Safety Code adopted by reference as set forth in the staff report. The variance shall be effective for a 768 non-consecutive hour period to occur sometime between April 30th, 2024 and April 1st, 2025 inclusive, or until experimental testing has been completed and the facility is returned to compliant operation, whichever occurs first, and shall be subject to the conditions noted on pages 3, 4, and 5 of the staff report.
Okay, thank you. Motion by Mr. Weber. Do we have a second?
I second.
Second by Dr. Mueller. So the clerk would take the roll, please.
Mr. Stovall,
Yes.
Dr. Moeller,
Yes.
Mr. Weber,
Yes.
motion passes.
Okay, thank you. Variance agreement.
The next two.
Oh, that's right. Yes, let's go then to S-2415F, Chevron Cogeneration Company. And we have Mr. Rickards again with us and Chris Kalashin up in Fresno. So same procedure, we'll just consider the application as your initial testimony and go then to Chris up in Fresno to get staff view.
Okay, again, everybody, I'm Chris Kalashin, Air Quality Specialist here at the district. And before you is Chevron Cogeneration Company. And the scope of this project is going to be identical to the one that you had heard earlier for Sycamore Cogeneration. The only differences really are that this is a 63 MMBTU per hour gas turbine. That's part of Cogen 18Z, and this is within the McKittrick lease. It's within the McKittrick oil field. It's the same kind of a situation. The SEMS is approaching the end of its life, and they're going to be upgrading it. And it's going to have to go through the same testing and certification process, and they have to be operating in order to conduct that testing. The difference here as well is going to be that this is going to be for a 60 non-consecutive day period that's going to occur between May 9, 2024 and August 1, 2024. And again, the existing emissions control equipment is going to be functioning and operating during the variance period, so there's going to be no excess emissions anticipated as a result of this variance. The district believes required findings as set forth in the California Health and Safety Code can be made, and recommends that Chevron be granted a short variance with the conditions on pages 3, 4, and 5. And this concludes the district's presentation.
Okay, thank you, Chris. Any questions for Chris? Not hearing any. Mr. Rickards, anything you'd like to add?
No additional comments. Thank you.
Okay. Do we have any public comment here? Not seeing any in Bakersfield, anything in Fresno?
No public comments in Fresno, seeing none online.
Okay, thank you. With that then, we'll close the hearing, the testimony portion of the hearing. See if we have a motion.
I'll motion.
Thank you, Cory.
I move to approve Chevron Cogeneration Company's petition for a short variance set forth in docket number S-24-15S with the required 6 findings of the Health and Safety Code adopted by reference as set forth in the staff report. The variance shall be for a 60 non-consecutive day period to occur sometime between May 9th, 2024 and August 1st, 2024 inclusive, or until the new analyzers and sample lines are installed and the SEMS is certified, whichever occurs first, and shall be subject to the conditions on pages 3, 4, and 5 of the staff report.
Thank you. Motion by Mr. Weber. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Dr. Mueller. If the clerk would take the roll, please.
Mr. Stovall,
Yes.
Dr. Moeller,
Yes.
Mr. Weber.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. That one's granted. We then turn to S-2417I, an interim variance for Chevron Cogeneration Company. And again, we have Mr. Rickards and I believe in Fresno, Chris Kalashian, this is yours. Again, Mr. Rickards will take your application, be your initial testimony, if that's okay. And turn to Chris up in Fresno for the staff's report.
Okay, again, I'm Chris Kalashian, Air Quality Specialist with the Air District. And before you this morning is Chevron Cogeneration Company. And they operate a 40.9 MMBTU per hour gas turbine as part of a cogeneration system, which is referred to as Cogen 6Z, that generates electricity and steam at their McKittrick lease within the Simrick oil field. On March 13, 2024, Chevron was granted a short variance, and that docket number was S-2404S, and it was to allow them to continue to operate while the new analyzers and sample lines were installed, tested, and SEMS was recertified. During the variance period, Chevron was unable to complete the certification of the newly installed SEMS hardware and conduct required relative accuracy test audit, which is referred to as a RATA, due to emergency repairs to the fuel gas line that is used by the facility. Once the repairs to the fuel gas line and system can be completed, Chevron will schedule the RATA as soon as possible and complete the SEMS certification process. Therefore, Chevron has requested an interim variance to be followed by a regular variance to provide relief from the requirements of district rules in addition to the applicable conditions of their subject permits. The requested interim variance period would be effective from April 24, 2024 to December 31st, 2024 inclusive, or until the petition for a regular variance is heard and granted. The district believes that good cause as set forth in the California Health and Safety Code can be made and recommends that Chevron be granted an interim variance with the conditions that are on pages 3 and 4. And this concludes the district's presentation.
Okay, thank you, Chris. Any questions for Chris? Okay, not hearing any. Mr. Rickards, anything you'd like to add?
And nothing additional. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. With that, do we have any public comments? Not seeing anything in Bakersfield. How about Fresno?
No public comments in Fresno, seeing none online.
Okay, thank you.
I did have one question. This is titled a short variance, but it's saying an interim variance.
Uh,
Where does it
notice, oh, yeah.
Oh,
Yeah,
say? I see
it's
that
on the
on the
first
very
page
top.
there.
Yeah, I'll make that change.
Good catch, good catch. Okay. So.
Can I ask a question?
Yeah.
Why would that change to an interim variance, not just a short variance? Is it because of the length?
No, they had received a short variance and they weren't able to complete
Oh,
that work.
okay.
And
So then it has to be an interim.
it's
Okay.
gonna go into a regular.
Okay,
And we weren't able to have the 30-day, we have to have a 30-day notice period to do a regular. And so that's why yeah.
So that's what interims are often used for, because of the noticing requirements for regular.
yeah.
That's what an interim's often used for, because of the noticing requirements on a regular is pretty extensive. It has to be noticed in the newspaper, so then we hear an interim, and then they'll be heard as a regular next month.
Oh, great, thank you.
It's a fairly simple, the short was a simple thing for the RATA, but then they had that fuel line situation and they're having to go on another property, so it's really delayed the final little step in this whole process. Yeah.
The final step to get it done then. Okay.
Okay, great. Any further questions? And let's just, out of caution, any public comment on that additional material? I'm not seeing anything in Bakersfield, anything in Fresno?
Seeing none in Fresno, none online.
Okay. Well, with that, then we will close the testimony portion of the hearing here and see if we have a motion.
I'll go ahead and motion.
Okay, Mr. Weber?
I move to approve Chevron Cogenerations Company's petition for an interim variance set forth in docket number S-24-17I upon the basis that good cause exists as set forth in the staff report and that there is likelihood that the 6 findings required by the Health and Safety Code will be met at a later hearing. The variance shall be effective for the period from April 24th, 2024 through December 31st, 2024, or until the petition for a regular variance can be heard, whichever occurs first, and shall be subject to pages on 3 and 4 of the staff report.
Thank you. Motion by Mr. Weber. Do we have a second?
I second.
Second by Dr. Mueller. The clerk would take the roll, please.
Mr. Stovall,
Yes.
Dr. Moeller,
Yes.
Mr. Weber.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Okay, great. Thank you. So it's granted. Thank you, Chris. Thank you. Okay, that concludes the hearing portion of our docket. Let's turn then to public comments. I'll read the required statement. This time is made available for comments from the public on matters within the board's jurisdiction that are not on the agenda. It's requested that no comments be made during this period on items on the agenda. Public may make comments after each board agenda item during that time allowed for public comment. Additionally, state law prohibits the hearing board from acting on matters that are not on this agenda. Not seeing anything here in Bakersfield.
None in Fresno and seeing none online.
Okay, great. So we turn then to hearing board member comments. Great job as always, everyone. Appreciate that. Anything else? Okay. I don't think we have any new business. So we'll adjourn, and our next meeting will be on June 12, 2024. Thanks, everyone. Thank you.
Thank you.
And good to see you, Dr. Mueller. It's
Thank you.
been a while since.